Hi, my name is Katie Ziskind, and I'm an experiential and holistic family therapist in Niantic, Connecticut. I specialize with children, adolescents, and teenagers, and I integrate art, yoga, music, and I run animal-assisted therapy groups in my practice. I wanted to do a Facebook Live video today about how to talk to your adolescent about alcoholism. One thing that I've been noticing in my practice is that parents seek support for their adolescent children when in the midst of a divorce and when their partner previously or currently may have an alcohol problem. This is something that comes up in session for the adolescent, and I wanted to reach out to offer you support on this topic. The first step in talking to your adolescent about alcoholism is to know that they already know that something's wrong. So even though they may not have words for what's going on, they know that one parent, let's say in this scenario, one parent is highly functioning in organizing the whole household and the other parent is not doing much. And that parent, let's call the alcoholic. So children already know something's going on. They may have refused to go to school, they may be frustrated, they might be angry, they might even be a bully. These are signs your child is asking for help and support in expressing their feelings. I wanted to read a brief quote. I just love this about how the author spoke to alcoholism. This is a book called What is Drunk, Mama? And so this book is a book, I think it's written by Al-Anon or Alateen. So how to explain to your child what drunk looks like. So drunk, they know something's wrong. They probably know the scent of alcohol in that person's breath. They probably have seen beer cans or wine as a normal part of life. So it's really important to speak to these things. So this quote says, in speaking to an adolescent, "You know when someone winds you up real tight on the swing and lets you go, and when you get off to walk, you can't. You feel dizzy and wobbly. That's what it's like to be drunk. People get that way from drinking too much beer or whiskey or anything that has alcohol in it. Alcohol is like a juice that turns into a drug and makes some people drunk." So this is a great way of explaining it to them, to a child, because they've had this experience being on a swing. And so this is why, let's say mommy or daddy is bumping into walls or is throwing up in the toilet or doesn't want to be hugged and doesn't want to be bothered or is very tired. So this is a great way to take the blame out of the situation and the conflict. So to do this with just education in mind. Another thing to do is to speak to what it looks like when someone's continuing to drink. So a child or adolescent or a teenager really benefits from having these open conversations. So you can use an analogy that they know. So like say you have a box of donuts. It's like these really delicious, sweet, decadent donuts or ice cream. And some people, it's like when they can't stop. So an alcoholic cannot stop. They can't just have one glass of wine or one beer. Like alcoholism is very much a trauma response. So the shame and a lot of these feelings that are being repressed are really directly related to alcoholism. So anyway, you can say when you get an ice cream, like you have just one. But some people can't just have one. They'll get an ice cream and then they'll go back up to the counter and buy another ice cream. And they'll go back up to the counter and buy another ice cream. And before you know it, they've bought 6 or 7 ice creams. And now they have a really big stomach ache and it's really not healthy. And they just can't stop eating ice cream. So, and they can relate, like they'll feel sick. If you ate 6 or 7 ice cream cones, would you feel good or would you feel really sick and sad about yourself? So this is just a really great analogy for talking to an adolescent child about alcoholism, especially if that is the cause for divorce. Another great way to help your child is to get connected to Alateen or Al-Anon. So this is a support group for family members who are not alcoholics themselves, but do deeply care about and love an alcoholic. So it teaches some ways to love with detachment. And so really just being open with your child about what's going on would be a really effective way to reach out and encourage them to feel supported. And sometimes it can be very beneficial to look at a family system with outside help, such as through family therapy with me. I look at 3 generations into the past, because so often when someone is drinking or using drugs, it's not just them, it's not just this moment. There's generations, parents who may have done that before and normalized it, or grandparents who may not have given love or affection, and this person so deeply wants to belong and has so much shame with being who they are in the world. So there's so many deeper layers that come to alcoholism and drug use, but it's very important to offer children and adolescents support, help, and encouragement as early as possible, because we don't want them to repeat these behaviors. We want to change the pattern and break the cycle. One other component that you often see, or I often see in my practice, when you have a parent that's an alcoholic, they are consumed with guilt that they are unable to be there emotionally. So they will buy their child love, which only works for so long. A child deeply needs emotional support, and when they don't receive that, the behavior problems still exist. So they'll still be having emotional outbursts and things like that. So a parent who's an alcoholic might buy their child the biggest Lego set, or a giant teddy bear, or like a dozen roses, a foot spa. I've heard everything. So, and just know that you can talk to your child about these gifts, but to be able to empower them to use I statements, to say, I really would rather have a hug, or I don't need this, or I'd rather spend time with you at the park, and kind of give them that autonomy and authority to have a voice within the family. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Facebook Live regarding talking to your adolescent about alcoholism, especially if it affects one parent. My phone number is 860-451-9364. And my website is wisdomwithinct.com. Book your session online, and there are tons of free resources under the free resources tab. I would absolutely love to help your child, adolescent, or teenager boost self-confidence, build positive coping skills to deal with anxiety and worry, and help them build a healthy sense of self for many years into the future. Thank you. Again, this is Katie Ziskind with Wisdom Within Counseling in Niantic.